the people you trust the most are the ones most capable of hurting you. If you've ever found it harder to trust after being hurt, there's a biological reason your brain does that, and it's probably not what you think. Psychologically, this isn't pessimism, it's structure. Trust requires emotional access, and the more access someone has to your thoughts, patterns, and vulnerabilities, the more impact their actions can have on you. Because trust lowers your defenses. In psychology, trust reduces what's called threat monitoring, your brain's system for scanning danger. When someone is labeled safe, your brain stops analyzing them as carefully, and that's where vulnerability begins. Vulnerability isn't weakness, it's openness to emotional impact. But openness means your emotional state can now be influenced by someone else's behavior, and the brain doesn't treat that lightly. The more you trust someone, the more your brain expects safety from them. Betrayal feels intense for a reason. This is why betrayal doesn't just hurt, it stays. It's not just what happened, it's that your brain didn't predict it. And when prediction fails, the brain treats the situation as more dangerous than expected. This is called a prediction error. In neuroscience, a prediction error happens when reality doesn't match expectation. The bigger the gap, the stronger the emotional reaction. And trust increases that gap, because the more certain you are about someone, the more shocking it feels when they act differently. This is the part most people don't notice. It's not the betrayal that changes you, it's what your brain learns from it. The event ends, but the adaptation begins. And that's what follows you into future relationships. Your brain is built to remember negative experiences more strongly. That's why you remember that one moment so clearly. And sometimes they move on like nothing happened, while your brain is still trying to make sense of it. You don't decide to trust less. Your brain automatically becomes more cautious to prevent the same outcome. This is called negativity bias. From an evolutionary standpoint, remembering what hurt you is more important than remembering what felt good. So one betrayal can outweigh many positive moments. Even if someone has been consistent for a long time, a single strong negative experience can reshape how your brain sees them. And your brain starts updating its model of people. Psychology refers to this as adaptive learning, not consciously. After betrayal, your brain increases threat sensitivity. This means you start noticing small inconsistencies more quickly. This is when you change. You stop trusting naturally and start analyzing everything. Instead of giving people the benefit of the doubt, your brain looks for patterns before deciding they're safe. This is a protective mechanism, but it changes how you connect. Tone changes, delayed replies, subtle behavior shifts. The goal isn't isolation, it's risk reduction. Your brain is trying to avoid another unpredictable emotional impact. Because trust is no longer automatic, it becomes conditional. And this is where most people don't realize what's happening. They think they've become independent, but what's actually happening is adaptation, not identity. If other people feel uncertain, it shifts toward what it can control, yourself. Self-reliance reduces emotional risk, but it also limits connection. So distance starts to feel safer than trust. So the brain looks for something more predictable. When you depend on yourself, outcomes feel more stable. Because real connection requires uncertainty, and your brain is now trying to avoid it. Not better, just safer. Not everyone will hurt you, but your brain doesn't easily separate past experience from present reality. It applies old patterns to new people. And that's why trust feels difficult now. Not because you want distance, but because your brain learned what can happen without it. This is how learned behavior works. What protected you before gets reused automatically. So trusting people isn't just emotional, it's neurological, it's predictive, it's adaptive, it involves risk. And once your brain has experienced that risk clearly, it doesn't ignore it again. That's why you hesitate now, not because you're weak, but because your brain learned something important. Trust is not just connection, it's exposure. And once you've been exposed before, your brain remembers exactly what that felt like. Your brain didn't make you distant by accident. It made you careful on purpose. If this resonated with you, leave a heart in the comments. And if you want to understand more of what your mind is doing, subscribe.